I went from being a broke alcoholic and drug addict whose partner left him brokenhearted to building a business that has generated over $5 million online while also having an amazing marriage full of intimacy, love, and connection. And in this video, I'm going to share with you the 3 simple steps on exactly how I did it. But before I do that, we've got to address the glaring problem in society today. And that problem is that as men, we are more overweight, stressed, depressed, anxious than ever before. 50% of marriages end in divorce. Alcohol use, drug use, suicide, it's all through the roof. And so many successful men end up burning the rest of their life to the ground, even though there are more coaches, podcasts, videos, people to help than ever before. Why is this happening? It's because as men, we have lost control. So in today's podcast episode, we're going to break down the 3 steps to take back control of your marriage and your life. Whether it's fixing a broken relationship, taking back your physical or mental health, or just loving life again, you're going to want to do these 3 things right away. They have changed my life forever, but as you're about to learn, not knowing them can be absolutely deadly to your results. Now, to truly understand these 3 steps and how they can work for you, we've got to go back to the beginning, which is called switching from chaos to control. Let me explain what I mean. Life comes in chapters, and the beginning of this chapter is called navigating the chaos. It all started from my childhood. You could almost say I was doomed to have terrible relationships. My parents separated when I was 4 years old, and I was exposed to the victim mentality. My father blamed my mother for leaving him. And yes, they both had a role to play, but he turned to alcohol and drugs to numb himself instead of taking responsibility for his part in the relationship breakdown. And in his defense, he was doing the best with the tools he had. No one taught him how to be a man or navigate life. However, that impacted me. Growing up, I repeated the same pattern. Because my father wasn't there to guide me on how to be a man, I had to figure shit out on my own. And I didn't do a great job with that. Like most men, I didn't know how to be alone and handle my own thoughts. I had severe anxiety and long bouts of depression. I just get sad for no reason. I would overthink. I'd consider the worst case scenario. I was constantly triggered and stressed, dealing with anger and frustration that I didn't know how to control. And the biggest problem was I was up and down like a yo-yo. I was consistently inconsistent with how I showed up for the people that I loved. Now, this is extremely important. This is called the chaos. There's the external chaos of the world around you. It's everything outside of the man in the mirror. But then there's also the internal chaos of your own thoughts, feelings, and what goes on inside of you. And my way of dealing with the internal chaos was sedation. Alcohol, drugs, porn, gambling, video games, scrolling on the phone, even work, anything to numb and sedate, to sweep the chaos under the rug so that I wouldn't have to deal with it. And this sedation and this chaos, it came into my personal relationships. It's the reason why I struggled to be vulnerable and communicate with my ex-partner. It's the reason why in 2017, she came home, looked me in the eyes and said, "Tony, I don't love you anymore," leaving me broken down and brokenhearted. That sent me on more chaos, a 3-month bender of alcohol, drugs, cocaine, MDMA, weed, alcohol, 3 months of destroying my physical and mental health, which led me to sitting in my room, contemplating ending my life. It was in that moment that my father called me, the same father that wasn't there for me when I was younger. And I'll never forget what he said. He said, "Son, you got so much more life to live and so much more to give." It was in that moment that I decided to take control of the chaos. Now, something you got to understand is if you ever have a massive breakdown, your wife leaving, divorce, relationships ending, your business burning to the ground, a heart attack, sometimes it takes hitting rock bottom to make a lasting change. And ironically enough, this wasn't my rock bottom. I thought I was about to change. I thought I was going to take control, but I was living a perpetual lie. This was the beginning of the next chapter, which I like to call the second chance. You see, a few weeks later, I started dating my current now wife, Rosina. She was and still is one of my favorite humans on the planet, only beside my daughter Talia. I fucking love that woman. We've created an amazing human together. We've been through thick and thin, and she has been by my side at the best and worst parts of Toni Versic. When we first started dating, I stopped drinking and taking drugs. I started to think I was taking control. I started scaling the business, making massive gains financially, mentally, emotionally. But as I grew my success, I also grew my stress. And I didn't know how to manage that internal pressure. That internal chaos started creeping back in, which meant that once again I had lost control. Now, if you've been working hard for your family, you know exactly what I mean. The weight of the world is on your shoulders. You feel like everyone relies on you and it's never enough. I didn't realize I was doing this, but I fell back into victim mentality, blaming Rosie for the lack of intimacy, the lack of sex, the shitty communication, and the constant arguments we started having. I blamed her instead of owning up to the responsibility of the stress from my business that I was bringing into my relationships. I also started drinking every single night to cope with that stress. And one of these nights, Rosie and I got into another argument about something stupid. Instead of dealing with that argument, I threw my drink at the wall, ran to the balcony, and jumped off the fucking balcony. Now, it was only 2 stories high, but I could have died that day. And I remember seeing my wife's face, filled with fear and pity for the man she was staring at. It was in that moment that I knew it was time to finally take control of the chaos. It was time to take back my power before I faced heartbreak for the second time and lost everything I'd worked so hard to achieve. This is where the 3 steps finally come in. There were all these different versions of Toni. There was victim Toni, there was happy Toni, there was depressed Toni, there was sedation Toni. There are multiple identities you have as a modern day man, and the problem is most men in their relationships, in their business, in their life, they are inconsistent with how they show up, who they are, what they do, how they feel, how they think is up and down like a roller coaster, up and down like a yo-yo, which means your loved ones, the people in your life, have no idea which version of you they're going to get. This is why the first part of taking back control of your marriage and life is by upgrading your identity and creating consistency. Step 1, you must build a new identity. There are 3 stages to this. There is knowing, there is doing, and there is being. It's becoming someone. It is who you are, not just what you do. In order to build a new identity, you must first address the current identity. Who are you as a modern day man? How are you showing up as a father, as a husband, as a business owner or worker? Who are you currently, and what is currently not working in your life? What's not working with the way you communicate with your partner? What's not working in terms of your intimacy and connection? What's not working in terms of sedation? Are you drinking? Are you smoking? Do you get angry? Do you get triggered? Do you struggle to switch off? Write a list of all the things that are not working in your life. A lot of men sweep it under the rug. They know things aren't working, but to bring awareness to it, to put it in front of you, is a completely different story. You want to address what's not working in the 3 key areas. We're about to get into those in the second step here, but there are health, wealth, and relationships. There's things that's not working in your health. There's things that are not working in your wealth or business, and there are definitely things that are not working in your relationships. Identify what these things are, and then either do less of them or stop doing them altogether. This is the knowing stage, what's not working, and then there's the doing stage, doing something about it, taking an action, or stop doing the things that you're doing. On the same side of knowing, what is currently working? What are you doing well? What's working well in your health, wealth, and relationships? Do more of that. Start doing more of the things that are working. Identify what's not working, identify what is working in these key areas of your life, and then do something about it. The second part of knowing, which is the way to shift your identity or build a new one, is actually identifying, what do I want and what do I not want? When I sat down after that breakdown where I jumped off the fucking balcony, I said, what do I want? I want financial freedom. I want to be able to switch off. I want to be able to be present with my wife. I want to communicate well. I want to be able to enjoy life without alcohol sedating me or numbing my thoughts. What don't I want? I don't want to be stressed all the time. I don't want to be arguing with my wife. Simply getting the knowledge and awareness on what you do want and what you don't want, and clearly defining these things. When was the last time you sat down with a pen and paper and just wrote down, what do I want? And spent an hour with your thoughts? You'd get so much out of it. What don't I want? Spend an hour with your thoughts and get clear on what you do and don't want. From there, once you know what is working and what's not working, what you do want and what you don't want in your relationships, your health, and your wealth, now you have point A. This is your starting point. And all you have to do is figure out, how do you get from point A to to point B. What do you need to do to get there? What are the routines? What are the rituals? What are the patterns? Do you need to get up earlier? Do you need to remove alcohol from your fridge? Do you need to have a love meeting with your wife once a week? What are the things that you need to do daily, weekly, and monthly to go from where you are now to where you want to go? Whether you like it or not, nothing changes until you change. You've got to do the things. You can't just sit there thinking about how you want to take control of the chaos, how you want a better marriage, how you want more money, how you want to grow a business. Thinking about it alone is not enough. You've got to combine the doing with the knowing. The knowing is the awareness, the doing is taking action on this. And the best way to do that is to create consistency with daily, weekly, and monthly habits, routines, and ritual. After all, you are what you repeatedly do. Consistency creates control amongst the chaos. To build a new identity is a decision. I'm going to become someone. And when you do the right things in the right order, enough times, it just becomes who you are. This is what's happened to me recently. I can do 80 to 90 to 100 days of routines, getting up on time, journaling, doing enough work, focusing on the right things, and it skyrockets the results in health, wealth, and relationships. So to recap this one, you must build a new identity. You must know where you are. You must know where you want to go. You must know who you get to become, and then do it enough times until it truly becomes you, consistently you. Happy, healthy, wealthy, and in control of your life. The second step here is that you must make mastery the mission. Let me repeat that one more time. It's a lot of M's, M. You must make mastery the mission. When I jumped off that balcony, I wasn't committed to mastery. When my partner left me and I said I was brokenhearted, I wasn't committed to mastery. I made a half-assed commitment. Think about how often we do this as men. We commit to one area, maybe the business or growing our wealth, and then we sacrifice all the other areas of our life. We're not committed to becoming the best we can be in all the areas. We have tunnel vision. This is why so many successful men, they make money and provide for their family, but they end up losing their wife and kids in the process because they've got one focal area. There are three key areas you must be in control of as a modern day man. They are your health, your wealth, and your relationships, and they are intertwined. You cannot separate them. You can be a billionaire, but if your health is falling apart, you have a heart attack or get cancer, it doesn't matter how much money you have because you're gonna be fucking dead. You can be a billionaire with a six-pack, but if your wife cheats on you because you can't communicate it, you're fucked, because you don't have balance in all three areas. So the question here is simply how much control do I have in each of these areas? In my health, how's my energy? How's my weight? Do I look good? Do I feel good? Mentally, am I unfuckwithable? Am I in control of my thoughts? Where are you in your health? On a scale of 1 to 10. 1, my health is absolutely fucked physically and mentally. 10, I'm unfuckwithable. I'm feeling right on fucking fire. I'm full of energy. I'm the healthiest version of myself. Where am I now? Where do I want to go? You must make mastery the mission. Your physical and mental health has a direct correlation to your relationships, your wealth, and your business. The second area, we got health, then we got wealth. Where are you right now with your wealth? Can you buy anything without thinking about money? Do you have financial freedom? Do you have time freedom in your business or career? Can you switch off after a long day? Do you enjoy what you do? Are you loving life every day? Do you wake up full of purpose and fulfillment? Or do you feel like every day is Groundhog Day? You're stuck in the grind, dealing with constant pressure and stress, struggling to switch off, and bringing that home to your family. On a scale of 1 to 10, where is your wealth in terms of time, money, fulfillment, business, career? What's your wealth at? You've got to commit to mastery, not just of making money, because it's not just about what you purchase, it's about the presence with your loved ones as well. Where are you on a scale of 1 to 10 in wealth? And commit to mastery and upgrading that number. And then the third area, relationships, is the most important. I realized, why the fuck was I working so hard in my business? Why was I making all this money when I was miserable and unhappy? Some of the biggest months in our business have been the hardest of my life. This happened to me just last week. Vulnerability alert. I've got a beautiful watch. It's my dream watch, a bluesy Rolex. This is what it looks like. This watch was not cheap. I wanted it for years, and I finally bought it from the success of our business. We got a Tesla last week. I was sitting in my Tesla. After grinding for 6 months in this business, the one you're listening to right now, helping hundreds of men fix their marriage, find work-life balance, reconnect with their children, and take control. And last week, I went into my Tesla, my dream car, wearing my dream watch, and I cried for an hour. This still happens to me to this day because I felt the stress and the overwhelm and the weight of the world on my shoulders because the relationships with my wife and my daughter are getting sacrificed for the success of this thing that I'm building here. Now, I'm grateful for the experience because it made me realize again that chaos was creeping back into my life. The difference now, though, is I don't have alcohol or drugs to sedate. I get to deal with it using the tools I gave you now, which is step 1, shifting your identity, but step 2, becoming a master in all these areas. So what I decided to do last week, I've been sick, you can probably hear it in my voice, I'm very run down, my throat is fucked, it's full of pain, but I wanted to record this podcast for you. What I did last week was I decided to be a master, attain mastery in my relationships. And I've been off since last Wednesday. It's been 6 days now of not working. I've been hanging out with my family and being present with my wife and daughter. How are you in your relationships? Are you communicating well? Are you connecting with your partner? Are you a present father who's a great role model for his children? Are you calm and patient? Are you a leader and a modern day king? As a boss, as a husband, as a father, on a scale of 1 to 10, what is your level of mastery in your relationship? This is such an important step that so many men struggle with because they don't know how to find that balance, which is exactly what we teach in the Empowered Man program. So ask yourself, what level of mastery do I have in health? What level of mastery do I have in wealth? And what level of mastery do I have in my relationships? You must make mastery the mission. The way we do this at the Empowered Man is we have quarterly sprints. Every 13 weeks, we set new targets. We look at the deficiencies using something called the Key 3 assessment. As a matter of fact, if you go down below and book a coaching session with our team, once you've booked that session, we'll send you that assessment for free to figure out what you're at or what level you're at in each of these areas. But we track our health, wealth, and relationships, and we make adjustments every quarter so that we become better in each of these areas. A better husband, a better father, a better business owner, a better man who is making mastery the mission while having balance in all 3 of these areas. That's how you take control. It's not just one area, it's all 3. The 3rd step is decide to live in a beautiful state. This will go over a lot of heads. Maybe you won't understand this, but please do your best to just listen. How can a man, myself, who's made $5 million online, is a millionaire at 31, has a beautiful car, has a beautiful watch, lives by the beach, helps hundreds of men change their lives, and ultimately has freedom in almost every area, be sitting in his dream car, crying because he's overwhelmed? It's all down to perspective. It's all down to the decision that you make. And Tony Robbins says, the most important decision you can make is the decision to live in a beautiful state. At the end of the day, your perspective is power. When I was losing control in my life, it was because my focus, my energy, where focus goes, energy flows, and was all the things that aren't working. It's on the fact that I don't trust my team and they're not doing this properly and my wife's not doing that. And because I'm a high performer, which you can probably relate to if you've listened this far, you have expectations of the world. And because your expectations are so high, you want to provide for your family, you want to be a leader, you want to be in control and be powerful and have some degree of winning in your life, it means that you have high expectations. Now, because this happened with me in that first chapter, the chapter was I'm deciding to take back control. I took that to the nth degree. I started doing all my routines, controlling my team, controlling my business, micromanaging, and it meant that I was actually losing control because I wasn't focused on what was going well. I was only focused on fixing things, putting out fires, and dealing with problems, which is an amazing skill set to have. It's the skill set of most high performers, most business owners, and most men who want to win. But if you're doing that and not enjoying the journey, if you're not communicating well with your wife and kids, if you're not present with them, enjoying dinners or meals together, if you're not experiencing life, and if you're focused on the negatives, despite how successful you are, if you're focused on how it's never enough and you're constantly chasing more, buying things, and trying to fill some void within you, then you'll never truly be happy. The reality is, you can have it all. You can have an amazing marriage or relationship full of intimacy, love, and connection, where your wife looks at you with appreciation, desire, and respect. You can have that while also having a healthy body and a mind that's bulletproof, that's unfuckwithable. Your body is the weapon and your mind is the shield with which you attack life every day. And you can have an amazing career or business where you have financial freedom, where you're able to buy what you want, when you want, do what you want, while also having time. And the way you do that, you can do it in a frame of stress, overwhelm, anxiety, where you argue with your wife, where you're unhappy, where you're triggered. You can achieve all the things you want by struggling along the way, or you can do it while loving the fucking game, loving the journey. At the end of the day, there are two ways to live as a man. There's the vulnerable victim, the man who blames, the man who puts out what's not working for him, who complains, who doesn't enjoy life. And there's the real responsibility, a man who knows how to be real, get to the truth of how he's feeling, communicate that with his loved ones, his team, while also taking radical responsibility for the quality of his life. The biggest decision you can make is to live your life in a beautiful state. So the question for you, if you've listened this far, is, are you making that decision each and every day? Are you deciding to show up in a beautiful state, meaning you are grateful, you're happy, you're in control, you're focusing on the positives, you're a leader, you're uplifting other people? Are you deciding to be that guy at work, as a dad, as a partner, as a modern day man 99% of the time? If the answer is no, then that step alone will skyrocket the control you have in your life of the chaos that's going on. And that's the chapter that I'm in right now. We've got this amazing business, I've got a beautiful family, but truth be told, there are days where I don't enjoy it. There are days where I doubt myself. There are days where I feel like I'm not good enough. And it culminated last week in me having a mental breakdown, sitting in my car, crying, burnt out and broken down. I know for me that this is the beginning of a new chapter. And this chapter is mastery, not just of business and making money, mastery not just of my relationship, but mastery of loving my life, mastery of being that inspiration for my wife and my daughter as a man who can crush it and dominate in business while also being happy, healthy, and fulfilled along the way. So now we get to recap all of this, and it might sound so fucking simple. If you've lost control of your life, your marriage, your health, your happiness, your relationships, it is extremely simple to fix. And it begins with making a decision. It's a conscious choice. Do you wait until your wife leaves? Do you wait until you have a heart attack? Do you wait until you jump off a fucking balcony and you hit rock bottom before you change? Or do you listen to this message and say, you know what? I want to take control now before it gets worse. Maybe your life's pretty good and you want it to be better. I'm deciding to take control of my marriage and my life, and I'm going to do it in 3 simple steps. 1, you must build a new identity. You must know what's working and what's not working in your life. You must know what you don't want and what you do want, and you must become consistent with your routines, rituals, and habits to get there. It's about what you know, then about what you do, and you do those things enough times in your relationships, health, and wealth that it's who you become. Step number 2 is you make mastery the mission. You become a master in your health, wealth, and relationships. You assess where you are in each area, and you're committed to growing in each area while also having balance and fulfillment during the process. And step number 3 is making the decision to live your life in a beautiful state, to love the journey, to be grateful, and to show up as the best man you can be in your relationships, physically, mentally, emotionally, in business, and in your personal life. And when you make this decision, everything else will fall into place. You'll fuck it up along the way. You'll have bad days, you'll have good days. You'll have moments where you drop the ball and fall off the wagon. But it's not about how many times you fall down. It's about how many times you get the fuck back up. Because you're not perfect, and I'm not perfect, and that's okay. But the people you care about, they're the ones that deserve the best version of you. And that begins with making a choice to take back control and be the man you know you can be. So the question I'll leave you with here today is, are you the best husband or partner? Are you the best father? Are you the best man you can be for your team, for your family, for your loved ones? If the answer is no, you get to make a decision today. Am I willing to take control?